Hi, my name is Tanner. This is my partner Joe, and we're with Simple Start Homes, and today we're going to be talking about the rent-to-own process. So we're going to go over a few common questions that we get. The first one being, what is rent-to-own and who's it for?
Yeah, that's a great question. Rent-to-own is commonly confused with owner financing. Owner financing is when you put a down payment down and then the owner who already owns the home sells it to you in installments. Typically a 30-year fixed interest mortgage, no prepayment penalties, no balloons, but you can do anything with it really. Rent-to-own's a little different. Some of the pros are it's way cheaper to get into a rent-to-own property. Sometimes it's way better, it depends on your situation. With rent-to-own, commonly referred to as a lease option, you lease the home. It's two agreements. One agreement is to lease the home for a period of time. The other agreement is an option agreement, and that option tells you that you have a certain amount of time where you can actually buy the home for a fixed price. So what that means is, short example, you want to lease option a home or you want to buy a lease option home. Someone would sell it to you on an option agreement, $300,000, and then that would be a 5-year option where you can execute that option at any point during the 5 years, and in the meantime you would just rent. And typically this is for people who at the moment cannot get approved for traditional financing, but definitely can own a home.
So like somebody like with bad credit.
Someone with bad or no credit. Sometimes these people are better borrowers. They make more money than regular people, but they're self-employed, and a bank won't give them a loan because they write off a lot of income. I actually fall in that category. I bought my home the same exact way with owner financing because I write off a lot of my income and don't pay as much taxes as someone else who makes less money in a year. But that's what my tax returns say. They say I make a very small amount of money because I have to write off a lot of business expenses. So if you have bad or no credit, if you're self-employed, if you're here legally but do not have a social, then rent-to-own, owner financing, those are options for you.
So a lot of people have asked too, is it legit? Is it a scam?
It is a scam.
It is a scam.
It is a scam if you work with the wrong person. There's plenty of people we work with who will reach out to us and say, I've already been scammed, this is a scam, or show me that it's not a scam. And the reason why is because somebody will post someone else's property. So we will market a property rent to own. Someone else can take our exact listing and go post it and then have people pay them to go just view the property. I've literally had people reach out to me and say, someone showed me a property, they said it was rent to own, they wanted me to pay $1,000 to go view the home, and they got scammed. So a couple ways you can know that it's a scam or not is asking for money up front, scam. Not letting you see the property first, scam. Not having their paperwork together, total scam. They need to be able to show that they're the actual owner of the property in a lot of cases, or at least that they're under contract on the property to close, and that you're going to be able to go and actually occupy the property from the person that's selling it to you. So it is a scam when you work with the wrong people. So couple rule of thumb is never give money to somebody up front for a transaction like this without verifying that they're the actual owner of the property or have some legal claim to title, which they don't necessarily have to be on the deed, but maybe they own it because they bought it on a contract for deed and they have the right to sell it to you, rent to own. So it's not a scam, it works really well, or else we wouldn't have been doing it with dozens of people already. But there are scammers out there who will try to get you to give them money up front without actually being the owner of the property.
That makes sense. So how does the seller benefit from something like rent to own?
Yeah, so if you're somebody who wants to rent a property out and you're thinking about doing rent to own, the benefits for you are that you no longer have management. So number one, you get a little bit of money up front. Usually it's about $10,000 that the buyer for a rent to own brings to the table in order to purchase that 5-year option to buy the property. And then during that time they work on, and typically the company that they work with, like us, with Simple Start Homes, we actually will work with the buyer to help them get approved during that 5-year period, because we want to sell we don't want to hang on to inventory. We don't want to we don't want to be having a lot of management and maintenance. We want to be able to turn the property over, give the person ownership. So the benefit for us or for somebody who is doing a rent to own is they don't have any maintenance, they don't have any management, because they're selling essentially equity in the property and ownership in the property in order to reduce their management. So that's why you would sell it on a rent to own. If you want to buy a rent to own, the benefits are tenfold. Same thing, you get to get into a property for a pretty low amount up front with that option fee. 10K is really not much in the span of ownership. And then you get to rent in the meantime while you work on, if it's your credit, if it's your employment history, if it's your ITIN situation, you get to work on those things so that you can then own the home within that 5-year period.
So with rent to own, does that option fee and do like the monthly payments, is that going towards the mortgage, or
Good
how does that
question.
work?
So the monthly payments do not go towards ownership in the property. That would be owner financing. The rent payment is so that you can rent the property and have your spot reserved while you are working to get your option approved. So the option fee itself, that 10K, absolutely it can come off the price when you're ready to go and finance the property and get permanent financing once you fix your credit, let's say. Maybe you have no credit, you need to start reporting more of your credit or getting more credit. You can do that in 2 years and then go and execute your option. At that point, the option fee would go towards the purchase of the home. But the rent would not. That's just to save your place so that you can rent it at a fixed appreciation and then eventually go refinance or do owner financing. A lot of the times we'll actually convert people from rent to own to owner financing if they can't still go get approved for permanent financing at the end of the 5 years. We'll definitely do that. Or if they bring more down, or it depends on your situation, but at least us at Simple Start Homes, we can be very flexible with how we're getting people their home ownership.
So let's say you had a home here in Phoenix that I was interested in to doing rent to own. What would happen if I didn't, execute my contract within those 5 years?
So if you get to year 5 and you've been paying rent successfully every month, and you put your 10K option fee down, and you can no longer execute your option, then we can explore, at least with Simple Start. With some people, maybe they wouldn't give you this option. Maybe they would say, we gotta renegotiate completely and start over. You can do another 10K, which will buy you another 5 years. We'll renegotiate price, we'll do all those. We'll renegotiate rent based on what it's at currently. Which, if you get to that point, it's still worth it, because you're locked into a rental rate. The owner cannot raise rents on you arbitrarily 40% every year, and you're locked into a purchase price with fixed appreciation. So it's still worth it to do it, even if you don't end up executing your option at the end, because you're going to be getting a better deal in the long run just on rent rates and just on the price and appreciation of homes. But let's say you didn't execute your option, then with us, we would either convert you to owner financing. Because if we like you and you've been making your payments and you're a very good borrower and you can afford the home, we will actually convert you to owner financing and we'll be your bank, or we can just extend your option period out. If you're a good renter and you just need a little more time, we want good renters in our property. Maybe we renegotiate. Maybe you pay another 10K or 5K to grab a couple extra years on your option agreement, so that you can then refinance in 2 years or get permanent financing through us in a couple of years. So we want to work with you if you're making your payments. If you're obviously missing a bunch of payments, then things are going to be tighten up, because you're not necessarily a good borrower. But for most of the people, they're doing a rent to own, and then when they get to the point where they want to do owner financing, we'll just convert it to owner financing.
So let's say I did rent to own, and then within those 5 years I couldn't get my own financing. Am I able to just go sell the house on the open market?
Yeah, so you can always sell the home for more than what your option agreement is for. If your option agreement's for $300,000, and in 3 years you have built an addition, or maybe you didn't even build an addition on the home.
So you're telling me I could even do add an addition to the house?
Yes. The investors buy homes like this all the time. They get an option agreement locked in for very low, $10,000, to have a 5-year option, and then they, as long as it's legally permitted, they can go build an addition to the home, increase the value 50, 100K, and then go and sell the home for more than their option agreement. And they were able to do that with just their initial expense of $10,000 and whatever they needed to actually build that addition on the home. You can do the same thing as long as it's legally permitted. You can build on the property, do value add to the property to increase its value, and you can also sell the property for more than your option agreement is for. So if it's for $300,000 and in 2 years it appreciates to $350, and at that point your option goes up to $315 or something, we're talking about 35 grand of equity that you now have in the home that you've captured with your option agreement, and you can just go list it on the market and sell it.
So I can, if I would just sell it for more than my option agreement, I would pay you and then I would keep the equity?
You would open escrow with the title company like normal. Your buyer would bring the funds, and it would trickle down to us to pay off the option agreement, and then the overage would actually belong to the person who executed their option and was renting in the home.
Last few questions. I did a search on Google, and there seemed to be a lot of people that weren't satisfied with doing rent-to-owns.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
I think that the reason why people are dissatisfied is because when they go to get permanent financing, they'll go to a bank, and the bank will say, you have to bring a down payment now to have us go and finance your home. So you put $10K to buy your 5-year option, which is great, and then you're going to the bank and they're telling you, okay, so you're gonna get an FHA loan, it's 3.5% down, right? So if that's a $300,000 house, we're talking about over 10 grand again that you gotta bring. Maybe you don't have that money to bring to the table at that time. I think that's one of the reasons why most people get dissatisfied with this, is either the paperwork wasn't done right and they didn't actually work with a company that was legit, or they aren't able to execute their option because the bank now needs another down payment. The way to get around that with us is we will let you borrow the down payment you need to go and purchase the home with the bank, and we'll just have a small interest rate on that just gets paid back at closing, because we're obviously going to raise the money to help you with the down payment. If you have it, it's better to do that. You'll save money. If you don't have it, but you're able to get approved and the lender will approve you, then we can actually lend you the money to go pay that down payment and then get refinanced back when the lender comes in with their financing. I've read a lot of stories about people who were upset because they couldn't go get approved for the loan on the back end because they had to bring more money down or something, and the lender wouldn't just execute their option as it was without them bringing more money to the table. So we have a way around for that. We'll definitely lend you the money, or we will go and owner finance you. That's the perk of working with a company like Simple Start Homes. We're going to go in and owner finance as many properties as we can to people, and if we can't, then we'll obviously extend a small loan to make sure that you can get approved for traditional financing.
So let's say I did, within those 5 years, I was gonna go and execute the contract, I was gonna go get my own financing. Would that 10K, that option fee, would that go towards the purchase of the home or the down payment or anything like that?
If the lender will accept it, then yes, we will go pay this 10K as part of their down payment on the property. And they might include that into when they're factoring your down payment to actually get approved for the loan. And then maybe we don't even have to bring that much money to the table to get it closed out, other than closing costs and things like that. So it depends on the lender. It's going to depend on what they want to see from us. But technically the option fee does not go towards the principal balance on the home. It goes towards locking in a 5-year term to be able to purchase that home. You lock in fixed appreciation, fixed rental appreciation for 5 years. That's your benefit from putting that 10K down. However, when we go to the lender, we are going to use it and say, this guy put down 10K, or this girl put down 10K, and we want that to be included as part of their down payment, or all of it, I don't know. So, so that's kind of the pros and the cons of rent to own. Yeah, that 10K doesn't go towards principal. The rent doesn't go towards principal. It's just holding your place until you're able to get approved for permanent financing. But it's a very cheap option to get into home ownership instead of having to go and, do owner financing for a lot down You know, some people want 20% down with owner financing. 10Ks, if 10K is the only entry you have, then it's definitely worth it for a lot of people.
Cool. So do you do rent to owns and all of this? Do you just do it in one location, or if somebody was interested in doing a rent to own, where can they find you? How can they find a property? How can they get a hold of you?
If you go to our website, simplestarthomes.com, then you're gonna see, number one, phone number you can call and inquire about all these questions. But we also have a page of inventory, a list of all of our homes around the country actually that are being offered either with owner financing or rent to own. So depending on your situation, there will be more videos to come where we talk about why you should pick one or the other, whether owner financing or rent to own. But you can go on our website and actually look at current inventory of homes that you might be able to buy that week because they're available owner financing, regardless of your situation, credit-wise or employment-wise or ITIN-wise.
What if you don't have something available in like the location that I wanted something? Should somebody still reach out, or?
Yes, absolutely. You should reach out. We'll put you in a list, and we will send you properties that we get. So, you know, you can find a rent to own anywhere without using us, of course. But you can also get on our list and make sure that you're getting access to properties that are coming up, so that when what you want comes up, you can go and start the rent to own on it right away, without having to go through the same process the bank's gonna make you go through, and without having to get denied.
Sweet. I think that's all the questions I had. I'm sure there's more trickling in as we're having this conversation. Is there anything else that you would add, where questions that people should ask that are interested in doing something like this?
Don't rent, own. Just own. I bought my home with owner financing because I can't get approved for a traditional loan. So I'm a big fan of this stuff, and I've done it myself. So I think you should always go for ownership, as long as you can make the payments and you're not going to be having a adjustable rate mortgage or something. I think it's a great idea to just start your ownership journey immediately, and then, or at least work towards that. If you don't have the 10K option fee or the down payment or something, work towards that, because building equity in a home is something special for sure.